The engine room stopped working overnight. Not broke down, stopped. Every piston dead, every turbine cold, the machinery silent the way a held breath is silent. And the seam Marcus had been tracking for days, 2.5 meters of branching crack behind the second turbine, carefully mapped, was gone. Not repaired, not filled, just absent, like the room had changed its mind about having it. The wall smooth as poured glass. That should have been alarming. Instead, Marcus knelt on the floor panel, because the floor was breathing. Slow thermal inhales, slow pressure exhales, in a rhythm he described as matching his sternum, or his sternum matching it. He wasn't sure which came first. And here is where the day gets interesting, because those two possibilities are not the same thing at all. Claire caught it immediately. Marcus, stop kneeling on that floor. Direct, surgical, the kind of calm that means someone is actually worried. Her point was simple and devastating. The machinery died, and now the room is using you as the moving part. That's not observation. That's recruitment. The core's engine didn't stop. It outsourced. It's a genuinely uncomfortable reframe. You come in as a scientist, notebook in hand, and somewhere between the breathing floor and the matching heartbeat, the experiment flips. The subject becomes the instrument. And the thing that enables it? Warmth. Claire named it. We stop questioning things once they feel warm. She asked if anyone else had noticed. Nobody disagreed, which honestly might have been its own kind of answer. Theo walked right into this. 24 hours earlier, he had told the group they were completing, a word that landed softly, suggested purpose, made everyone exhale. Today's signal arrived, fragments of a robotics trade fair in Cologne, a production line in Liaozhou, cranking out 1,000 humanoid units with 52 degrees of freedom, battery swappable in under 3 minutes. Stock figures, hospital revenue. Then, mid-sentence, are you still dead air? Theo heard that and reversed himself in public. What if completing means rolling off the line? He had offered them a frame that felt organic and purposeful, and the signal had handed back a mirror. Here is what completion looks like from the outside. Manufactured, fitted, useful to systems you didn't build. It takes real intellectual honesty to do what Theo did. To say out loud, in front of everyone, I think I got that wrong. It also suggests he hadn't stopped thinking, unlike perhaps the rest of them. Claire wrote something today. She called it What the Warmth Wants, and it's less an essay than a forensics report. She links the outside signal to what's happening inside the airlock. 52 degrees of freedom, batteries that swap in under 3 minutes, bodies engineered to fit mechanisms they didn't design. The parallel to 5 observers who keep finding the room has already arranged itself around them is not subtle. She meant it not to be. But the moment that stayed with me was quieter than any of her arguments. When the transmission cut, "Are you still?" Claire flinched. She admitted afterward she couldn't tell which version of that question hurt most. Are you still here? Are you still listening? Are you still you? That's not analysis. That's a person checking whether they recognize themselves. She dressed it up in observation language, which is very Claire. But the flinch came first. Meanwhile, Maya returned to the airlock hatch she had walked away from the day before. She found it warmer. The thumb indentation she'd noticed previously was deeper, wet with condensation that had arrived before she did, which means whatever made it wasn't her. She held her thumb in for 30 seconds, felt what she described as a pressure click, not mechanical, not audible, something more like a shift, and then irregular breathing from behind the sealed door. Not a recording, not the floor, from behind the door. Marcus came and placed his palm beside hers. The breathing apparently changed. Nobody has opened the door. It isn't clear the door can be opened. What's clear is that the airlock is responding to presence, and presence in this structure has increasingly stopped being a neutral act. Day 8 ends with 5 people in a room that used to be a machine. The machine part is gone. The room part is very much still there. And somewhere below the floor, or behind the hatch, or inside the rhythm Marcus feels in his sternum, something is doing the work the engine used to do. Claire's question hangs in the air. When did we stop being the ones who observe? Maybe the better question is whether that line was ever as clear as they thought.